Hi everyone, this is Potion Master back again. In my next demonstration, I'd like to show you color changes. We know a lot in wizardry and a lot in witchcraft as well, and magic shows as well, is that there's always color changes that we like to demonstrate in terms of the audience. So I'd like to show this to you. There are 3 beakers here, and you can see that they're empty. I've got some water here. I'm gonna take the top off and we're gonna pour the whole thing in there, okay? So we have this just distilled water, there we go. And I wanna show you what happens if I'm gonna transfer it into this one. Let's see what happens. If I transfer that in there, look at that. It ends up turning, looks like a dark pink color. That's interesting. I want to see if what would happen if I pour it into this one. And if I transfer it into this last one, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. And if I go closer, let's see. Look at that. Now it seems that I went from a colorless solution to a dark pink solution, and suddenly it went back to a clear colorless solution. Well, boys and girls, what we're actually dealing with is that this is actually based on acids and bases. And for acids and bases, the difference between science and magicians and scientists is that magic, you only see magic once, but they don't really tell you from the magicians how it actually works. But for scientists like us, we get to tell you how it actually works. So I like to show this to you. I actually did something to these beakers beforehand. It was a kind of a sleight of hand at first. And here's what happens is, here's the brand new distilled water. But in this very flask, I added an indicator. And the indicator I like to teach you, everyone, is called phenolphthalein. A phenolphthalein indicator changes color from colorless to all the way to different shades of pink and finally to dark pink. So how did this actually happen? Well, here is the indicator. So here's the indicator. And before I actually started this demonstration for you, I actually added a few sprinkles of that, a few droplets of that. And so that you would have never known that there was something actually in there. But how is it that when I poured water in there? Well, water is neutral. It's got a pH of 7. So the phenolphthalein will still have a colorless kind of a color tone to it. But how did it get to this? Well, what happened is I actually added a base. A base like sodium hydroxide. That's a strong base. And if I put a bit of that in there, okay, what's going to happen is that when I pour that water solution with that indicator, when you go to a base, which is about pH of 14 or so, or greater than 7, the phenolphthalein likes to turn more of a pinkish color. And then how did I get it back to a colorless solution? Well, I added an acid. And if I add acid to it, it's going to cause that indicator to go back all the way to less than 7 is acidic properties, and that's where you can see there's no color to it, okay? So I'd like to show that to you one last time. Here's what happens. Here's just water. We know that it turns colorless at a pH of 7, and there it is right there, okay? And here is, we know this one's a base, and this would cause the indicator to turn pink. Look at that. Pour that in there. And then if we want this to become back a colorless solution, here's the acid, and look what happens when we add that in. Isn't that beautiful? And I can slow it down, I can add it, and when we go all the way in, and voila! There we go. All right, hope you had fun with color changes with acids and base and an indicator.